Historical documents are actually affirming the biblical story. So the text from the Bible is as clear as it gets, but we, historians, can actually prove it by using outside information which we cross with the Bible. It's like an amazing crossroad. We stand on a specific side and say, wow, this is where it all took place. This is a bulla, which is an impression.
B-U-L-A?
Correct, coming from ancient
Greek,
Greek, which stands for an impression. The bulla, which we've just seen right now, belongs to a certain minister in the kingdom of Zedekiah. The guy is called Yehochal, son of Shlemyahu. If we remember, this guy actually grabs Jeremiah by the arm and throws him to the pit when Jeremiah prophesies this terrible prophecy that he gives Zedekiah, that his sons and daughters will be slaughtered in front of his eyes. He will be blinded.
This is King Zedekiah.
So this is King Zedekiah. And the guy who actually was performing as a minister in his kingdom sends us regards from the grave and say, hello guys, that is me, the one you're reading about in this bulla. So actually each and every one of those bullas for us is regards from the Bible. It's like affirming complete chapters and stories from the Bible, which we as historians can touch base with. And this is a 2,600 years old ancient document.
A stamp, as it were.
Yeah.
I was shocked, maybe I shouldn't have been. Prior to these discoveries, bullas in particular, and other antiquities, even the existence of the town of Bethlehem was questioned. The existence of King David was challenged.
Well, cynicism is all around us. And people looking at the Bible sometimes and says, well, someone had to put it up in order to justify their belonging to the country. But when you dig the country objectively, without looking at the Bible and things that go and affirms the Bible, comes out of the ground from sterile places that were not touched before us, this brings the question, why should we question to begin with? If I may share with you something amazing that I brought with me, you can lift it up, and you're holding right now in your hand something which is quite amazing.
It's like
this
a Roman emperor's
is the original minted coin made of silver from Tyre, the Phoenician city of Tyre. Why would we have this? Because the book of Exodus actually commands every Jew coming to the temple to bring the annual tax. You're holding right now in your hand, and which is okay. You can hold it in your hand.
Is it all right? I should have asked.
It's a 2,000. No, it's okay.
It's 2,000 years old?
2,000 years old coin, silver, minted in Tyre. Why Tyre? Because the Phoenicians were helping their Jewish friends, as there were no way for Jews to mint coins due to the time when they were submitted under the Romans. Now Jesus, when he comes to Jerusalem, we need to understand Jesus actually brings in his pocket this kind of coin, because this is the money you take from the money changers in the Temple Mount. The story is so remarkable.
This is what is required for the temple?
Because when Matthew tells us that Jesus got angry and furious with the money changers and he tosses away their tables, these are the tables. This is what we were finding next to the Western Wall. We see the evidence of the Bible exists anywhere from Tel Dan up north, which is the famous city of Dan, where the piece of pottery remembering King David says, all the way down to biblical Beersheba.
You've got Beersheba.
Yes,
the Bible talks about.
Of course, down to Beersheba is mentioned 7 times in the Bible as the borders of the inhabitation of the tribes. And if we may move to the other picture, then I can show the ancient pool of Siloam. This is during the beginning of the excavation. What we see right now is when it just started out. We need to remember the pool of Siloam, which is mentioned right after the inscription of Siloam, actually started with Hezekiah, but it became a lot more famous in the time of King Herod. We learn from Isaiah, if I remember correctly, Isaiah 8, he says the water of Siloam are flowing gently and slowly. You're actually looking right now at an amazing inscription in Hebraic, 6 rows of ancient Hebraic letters that are commemorating the enterprise that was done by Hezekiah's quarrymen that were digging Hezekiah's tunnel.
Now what year is that,
Jerusalem. This is 705 BCE. 705 BCE, that's the great revolt against the Assyrian king who comes to try and conquer Jerusalem, eventually to be sent by Isaiah, the famous prophet. But we're looking at a playground, if I may call it that way, when he's
And Jesus performed a miracle here.
Only 2 miracles were performed by Jesus within Jerusalem. You're looking right now at the place that was actually stepped by Jesus and his disciples, because this is the pool of Siloam. John 9:7 describes the miracle of the healing of the blind man by Jesus in the pool of Siloam. Can you imagine yourself? He sees that blind man in the upper part of the city. How could a blind man find the way down to the pool of Siloam unless it was a well-paved, known road? Why? Because that's the road leading from pilgrims all the way from pool of Siloam to the Temple Mount. It's like telling someone, go to 5th Avenue in New York. Everybody knows where it is. So this is how that blind person could tell how to go down to the pool of Siloam. This is one of the two miracles conducted in Jerusalem. The second one would be in the pools of Bethesda, which described in John 5, 1-9. And they both had to do with an amazing story that David started out. If I remind you, 2 Samuel chapter 5, David is being blamed by the Jebusite king as, "Thou shalt not come here until you remove the blind and the lame." Only if you read the ancient testament, which is the Bible, can you understand the New Testament. Jesus will conduct two miracles in Jerusalem, blind and lame. Rings a bell?
Beautiful.
It starts with David. 1 millennium passes from David to Jesus, and Jesus still addresses the same issue when he walks in Jerusalem. Remove the blind and the lame. Only this time, not with power, not with a war and rage. This time it's mercy and grace, because Jesus is all about mercy and grace. So he actually heals the blind and the lame, making Jerusalem what it is, Shalem. Let me say shalom to our viewers. Shalom and shalem derives from the ancient Hebrew word which is complete, whole.
Complete or whole?
Complete, something which is complete. So shalom can only be attained and achieved when something is shalem, complete.
I have to ask one last quick question. You know, these discoveries are so thrilling. I think they'd be thrilling to anybody, but certainly to people of faith. What is the response with university students when you speak, with academia, the people who maybe were reluctant to accept the historicity of these names?
I found very, very little amount of people in my 25 years of service that actually refused to accept the truth of the archaeological word as it is. Because when you combine history, archaeology, and Bible, and they all meet in a specific point, then we have a bingo. Very few students have refused to say, and they said, look, this is what we believe in, sorry, we cannot accept it. So due to, beliefs is something stronger than knowledge. But when it comes to knowledge, we can prove the Bible, I would say in 99% of the places in Israel, it affirms what we find in the country and the documents. And I'm very lucky to enjoy my work on a daily basis when my office is in the city of David, above all that amazing, beautiful findings.
Thank you so much.
Shalom. Thank you very much for having us. It's been a pleasure.